I would say they are both equally important, and you should definitely not focus only on vulnerabilities, because you would never really know what your vulnerabilities are. You can never be 100% sure that you know all of them. Practically what you do is that you try to protect yourself from every angle, while the attackers try to find only one weak spot. So you can never have a complete overview of what somebody might find. So knowing the vulnerabilities but also knowing the threats creates a more complete image of what can happen, and it gives you an advantage. Definitely conferences and meetings, because then you also get to interact with other professionals. You get exposed to other ideas, you know what happens. Twitter as well is a very good way of distributing news. And of course there are also some journals that go more in depth. For example, the Defense Review is very, very good on how to handle topics more in depth practically. I like it pretty much, in fact, because it has a very broad spectrum of topics. So we started with some technical topics, then we continued on more hands-on and physical penetration testing or physical security talks, and then we have the social engineering as well. So I believe they work into a comprehensive type of event. It started practically because of my father, because he is a cybersecurity expert, and it started when I was really, really young, because he took us with him as a game so that we can also know what happens. And maybe because he was a little bit extra persuasive when a little girl was holding his leg and he was doing engagements. But what happened was that I got very interested when I saw how differences in the way you ask somebody a question and the story you pose, how differences in how you present yourself change other people's behaviors. Then I got very much into the behavioral aspect of security. I studied psychology to strengthen on that topic, and I was then I asked my father to use me more on his engagements. Then I attended a few of them. I started building my knowledge. I participated in forensic investigations, for example, and penetration tests, and that gave me a very good edge from projects that were beyond my age. So this whole challenge kept me very, very motivated. I was very interested in it, and it hasn't stopped there. I am still building it. I am building right now and training on social engineering. I am very happy about it, because I have found that the behavioral aspect is not covered very much, while it's used more and more by social engineers. And I believe there is not enough knowledge on the topic right now. So having a background in psychology, I can talk about how profiling works, I can talk about how manipulation and deception works, and this can go from an enterprise level up to a governmental level. It has been used in the past for secret services, behavioral attempts and strategies to attack other nations, or you name it. And I believe this matter should be more talked about. Well, because you can never prove in court that somebody manipulated you. It is a matter of plausible interpretations in the end of the day, except if you have seriously hard facts that somebody plugged something in your computer that was infected. But this whole chain of events is very hard to prove, so it's very low risk for the attackers. Humans are a very weak link, because they are highly predictable and because technology advances all the time. So the harder the worlds on technology are, the softer humans become as targets, and the easier for attackers. Also, they are usually not educated on the topic, which is a very, very, very important factor, and then attackers prey on ignorance. So the people that have not received any training before are definitely the weakest, because they are not even aware of why somebody is approaching them and making all these strange questions. But even if they conceal the questioning on a more expert level, still it is very easy to play with perception and framing on how somebody else will perceive your approach. So This is why. And people need to not only be educated on what happens and aware of it, but they also need to be trained, and that's the behavioral aspect as well. They need to be trained on putting boundaries in people and not letting everything out. And also how to handle high pressure situations, because social engineers prey on that as well. And not be affected by their vulnerabilities that we all have in the end of the day. Top 5, I don't know if they are 5. There are usually 2 main elements, the technology and the training. And then the penetration testing helps as well, because you practically get a more clear image of what you're still missing. So you need to have your systems in place, your implementation, and then you need to train the user on how to actually still protect the systems that they are using and the information. In this question, I believe that it highly depends, and this is why it's always useful to have a tailored approach if you are not taking a product off the box, which often happens as well. If we talk about training, you usually need a tailored approach. There are a lot of different trainings on a lot of different levels, depends on the budget as well. But you always need to keep in mind that you need training practically, because in the end of the day you need to prove in court, if something happens, that you were fit and proper in your responsibilities. So you better have done this part on at least some level. And always talk with your training provider about what you need to cover in the program, what is the budget, the scope, all of these things. Nothing, however, don't take training off the box necessarily. I start with my information gathering and certainly profiling when I talk about information gathering, so that I can know who are possible weak links and who are the people I should avoid by all means, because they are more sophisticated on the topic of security, but also to know how to handle each person. The preparation is very important. And then once you are on site, it works very well if you have your good story and you are able to act on it, because it is an acting job in the end of the day. And also it's always good to carry a paper with you that justifies the reason you are there, has some sort of signature and stamp on it, and a phone number to call, because it can convince even the hardest cookies, and they usually don't call this number to verify. If they do, kudos.
Okay. So, is there anything you want to add?
I'm happy with the range of questions.
Thank you very much for answering the questions, and have a nice day.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.